Well, I want to make, I very much like your remarks and agree with them, and I want to quite second what you say about pure structuralism. I mean, I'm very much an Aristotelian. Structure, yes, but matter also. And Aristotle had the story, both form and matter, and recently, in fact, in discussing, in fact, as Jens Erik Finstead and I have been talking, things about the creation of mathematical concepts. And Wigner's, there's a well-known physicist, Wigner, who wrote a wonderful paper on the unbelievable, what is it? The surprising effectiveness or something. Unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics in the physical sciences. And this response that I wrote was to say, it's not surprising. It's the way humans have developed since the age of the cavemen. And I used as an argument there the sophisticated views of Aristotle in the De Anima. The De Anima is the famous Aristotelian treatise of what we would now call psychology. And he has a very sophisticated analysis of the place of both form and matter. And I think that's needed. That's needed. I mean, I couldn't believe for a second it's pure structure all the way down. And I could find that quite unbelievable, and will affirm my Aristotelian heritage very much. Now, I'll make one final comment. Part of my part of this kind of religious view he gave here is to emphasize that when I was raised as a graduate student, the winds of doctrine were quite ferocious. And so it was seen both in Tarski's view, he was very firm about what was really important, what mattered and what was not. The same was true of Ernest Nagel in a very different way. So Ernest would love to criticize in our conversations, and he wrote very good skeptical reviews of one of the books of Reichenbach's on probability, a skeptical review of Carnap's book, and a similar skeptical view of Quine. So I received an education that encouraged a different form of what you might say, modern religious naturalism. But that had a big impact on me.
So do these structures then supervene on the natural world, so that if the natural world were different, the structures would be different? Or are they independently existing things? In which case, how does that reconcile that with his empiricism?
Are you talking about the structural realist view?
No, the view that you attributed to Pat about these pure set theoretic structures. That already, suggesting that they're pure set theoretic structures, suggests there's a distinction between pure and applied mathematics. And then, but whether or not it's pure or not, the question is, are the structures eventually dependent on the physical world?
Well, of course they are. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and to say that there are pure structures is only to say that we use the language, as it were, of set theory to describe in a convenient, compact way what the theory is trying to tell us, as we understand and formalize the theory. That's all.
So if the natural world doesn't exhibit that structure, then the structure won't exist?
Oh, I'm sure that there's, large cardinals exist, and we're not going to find those in the natural world. So, yeah.
I have a question. The language to me is a little bit foreign, so I don't always know what you mean when you use words. No, that's not criticism. It's much worse with mathematicians, incidentally. For me. How much do you think that the structures that we use to describe the natural world are functions of our own heredity, functions of our neural architecture that was created by evolution and that we simply are stuck with, and these things simply make describing the physical world, especially in contexts like quantum mechanics, relativity, and so forth, 11-dimensional string theory, God knows what, where we are simply stuck with the architecture that nature gave us, and therefore we have to approach these problems with a degree of abstraction and mathematics that we might not recognize as coming from our evolutionary architecture. That was a question, but I forgot what it was.
You're asking for my personal opinion?
Yeah.
I agree 100% with you. There's no other possible explanation.
I don't know how you can agree with a question, but
Well, wasn't the question how much?
well, the question was a pointed question.
Well, what's the alternative then?
Well,
There is none.
I would disagree, Lenny, with too much dependence on the neural structure. I think what the human brain is capable of is wonderful and fantastic and magical in terms of relation to the real world.
Yeah.
And by no means would I think that the way we think about these things is much constrained by the brain.
Well,
But from the neural standpoint.
well, let me give you an example. I agree with you, but let me give you an example. We can visualize 3 dimensions. I can close my eyes and I can see 3-dimensional cube or something like that. I cannot close my eyes and see a 10-dimensional cube. Some people claim to be able to see 4 dimensions. Well, maybe. But it's worse than that. Can you visualize 2 dimensions? How many people here think they can visualize 2 dimensions? I don't think so. I think when you visualize 2 dimensions, you see a 2-dimensional surface embedded in 3 dimensions. You can't visualize a 1-dimensional space for the same reason. Your neural architecture has you stuck with it, 3 dimensions. There's nothing special about 3 dimensions mathematically.
That's a case of throwing away information, which is okay.
Okay.
The other direction is you don't throw away information, you're losing it.
My point is that the neural architecture does, to a large extent, determine what we can and what we cannot visualize. And we supplement that in order to be able to do the things you say, we supplement it with abstract mathematics. A 4-dimensional sphere is just x squared plus y squared plus z squared plus w squared plus u squared equals 1. So I think somehow missing out of a lot of this discussion is the constraints of biology. To me, I find that so. But never mind, I'm a physicist, not a biologist. And we should go on to the next lecture. Thank you.